Good morning, guys. We're going to be taking a look at the Tang and Song Dynasty today. So, just a quick refresher before we get into analyzing the Golden Age. Is yesterday we looked at the geography of the Tang and the Song Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty extended from the coastline all the way inland along what would be known as the Silk Road. So, they had a lot of interaction with travelers and merchants from the middle of Asia into Europe. They would go along the Silk Road. There would be religion, merchants, all different items interacting with one another. The Song Dynasty was much more dependent on the coastline and using the sea to ship things. So we were looking at that. We talked a little bit about the geography based on relation and interconnectedness. So interconnectedness again was how if you were lived in your neighborhood, the more people you talk to and more people you communicate with, the more interconnected you are. So we were trying to analyze yesterday, how is China interconnected with its region? And so it's like on a grander scale than what we talked about. So you're going to have how did they have an impact, and what did they do with their neighbors, and what was the impact on both sides? So that's what we looked at yesterday. And today we're going to move into a different period known as the Golden Age of the Tang and Song Dynasty. The do now question is, when you hear the term Golden Age, what do you think of? So, essentially, you think gold. I personally think like wealth and power, which is what it sort of goes along with. It is. The Golden Age is generally a period of prosperity, and a lot of times peace is associated with it. So, when there's a time of peace and prosperity, that gives people time to create and think and do things that they hadn't done before when maybe times were a little bit harder. So we're going to look at those achievements from that time period. We're going to talk about whether or not they might be considered innovations, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's go to the next slide. I know this is a little blurry, but I wanted to check in with Rome as sort of a refresher. So Rome had a golden age, and this was their entire dynasty here, their empire, I should say. And one of the things that made them so successful during this period were their roads and aqueducts. So Rome built these things called the Roman roads that connected them to other places that helped trade. It helped the military. There's a lot of different pieces that go into it. Okay, even just the building of the roads. Uh, that's part of what made them successful. Was part of their period of peace and what would be known as the Golden Age. Also, the aqueducts. You're going to have fresh water brought into cities, and that's going to help with their hygiene, their health, and all those types of things. So Rome had a period like that too. So now we're going to transition into the tank. Um, so gunpowder, all right, it's originally used for fireworks, like it says, um, but it's not going to make its way really to Europe for about another, I think, 300 years or so. So you know, it starts out as a celebration. They would make fireworks, and then eventually it's going to turn into weapons. So if we think about this new gunpowder, how does it going to impact other regions in later periods in history? It's huge. It's going to be the foundation for war moving forward in human history. So that's something that you can go into a lot of depth about. But it all started right here. And China at this point is the most advanced country in the world. Block printing. Block printing is kind of something that is different. Up until that point, everyone had been handwriting everything. So what they would do is where it says block printing over here, um, they would essentially carve whatever they wanted into wood, and then they would lay a sheet on it with ink, and it would just be like almost like a big stamp. Okay, so you would take a piece of paper, push it down on the ink that's on the wood block they carved, and it would be a page. What they would do then, eventually, years later, is they're going to come up with the idea of these things, which are movable type, and they would be able to move pieces around and reuse things more than once, which was easier and would save time. Okay, so block printing is going to spread all over that region. It's going to spread to Japan. It's going to spread to Korea, and eventually